Douglas Murray is promoting his new book on democracy and death cults, and he spoke to Jordan Peterson, where they had an interview for an hour and a half and pretty much just spoke about how evil Hamas are. So I can't talk about the current situation in Gaza because I've not been there, and neither is Jordan Peterson. So I want to talk about a bit where they talk about the nature of evil, and I want to kind of go over the analysis of Hamas as evil, and kind of talk about how they don't talk about Israel. They don't talk about the genocide in Gaza, which has been deemed by legal scholars, academics, and experts, actual experts. So let's get straight into the video.
I was probably 40 bloody years old before I knew who Wilberforce was.
Right.
In my eternal shame, it's all part and parcel of the message that the Western colonial powers were responsible for slavery, when the truth of the matter is that
They literally were. They always bring this talking point out like, we can take credit for, oh, they stopped slavery, but we don't take credit for the actual slavery and how capitalism itself, our system, is built on the back of slavery. It's like, no, but we ended slavery. It's like, okay, but you also started it.
Great Britain in particular, waged war for 175 years on the high seas to eradicate slavery for the first time?
No, they benefited from it. They were pretty resistant on it. It was the abolitionists and the people who were pushing against it. People act like, oh, they were so benevolent. No, there's a reason why they fought so long to keep it, because it was financially successful. It was really good for them. Like these kind of things aren't just given from above. No, people had to fight for it.
In history,
we not only eradicated, we the British not only eradicated it in the British Empire, but eradicated it on all the high seas,
right,
and lost thousands of sailors throughout the 19th century. And every British household paid far more in household goods throughout the 19th century because we weren't trading with slave traders.
Right.
Compare that, by the way, to the fact that
there's the reparations.
At the same time, the Islamic world was glorious.
Yeah, reparation to the owners, not the actual slaves. Like, see, they always do this, like, oh, we're so great because we ended something that we shouldn't have been doing in the first place. And then other people, then what aboutism? Well, they were doing it. It's like, okay, so you're taking credit for stopping it, but not the crimes. They always do it. So cowardly.
Gloriously still slaving away, and much of the Islamic world still does, by the way.
And so do we. We have slavery in the UK. We have a lot of slavery, modern slavery, probably more slavery now than there's ever been across the planet. In the UK, modern slavery, literally slaves who work in clothing factories, who work on farms. It's happening here. So we haven't eradicated slavery. They always act like we have. Like, no, slavery still exists. We still benefit from it, and we've still got a long way to go.
Across Africa and the Middle East is still doing slaving.
So are we.
So
Unrepentantly, with no apology whatsoever.
Yeah, and so are we. That's mental to say that. Like, oh my god, look at those shoes. To be fair, for Jordan Peterson, actually quite nice. I will actually give him credit; they are quite dapper. But anyway, who do you think made those shoes, Jordan? Who do you think made his suit? Because that's maybe bespoke, unlikely, definitely. These trainers here, are they On trainers? They were made in a sweatshop. So that's so ironic for bloody Douglas Murray to talk about slavery. His shoes were made in a slave sweatshop. You couldn't make it up. You couldn't make it up.
But positively beaming that at the same time they teach people in the West that Westerners born in the 21st century are guilty of 18th century slaving.
No one's ever said that. We're guilty of it. No, we're saying we benefit from it, and that's the system. See, it's always a straw man. They have nothing. Douglas Murray is one of the worst pseudo-intellectuals because he has this affectation of like, because he's purely put on. This voice is not real. Like, he's probably from like Hounslow or something, like pure fake.
So this is an extraordinarily dangerous moment, it seems to me, because the ground that you and I and others have identified for many...
Actually, why would you wear those trainers with that? I mean, chinos that look like tight, ill-fitting, that shirt, he's trying to look ripped. He looks terrible. Like, Jordan Peterson actually looks okay. Maybe not the black socks, although the contrast, those shoes don't go with that. But, like, have some shoes, have some bloody decency, have some decorum, some common decency.
Years of deracination of populations, demoralization of populations, stripping away of all legitimate heroes or ignorance of them, whether it's Wilberforce or Churchill.
Comparing Wilberforce with Churchill. No, I guarantee you, at the time, Douglas Murray would have been demonizing Wilberforce and be like, he would have been defending the status quo unequivocally. If he's defending Churchill, who was a racist, yeah, he was a complicated figure. He was definitely part of the colonial era. He did bad things. He said a lot of horrible things. He contributed to the Bengal famine. So let's not act like Churchill is just this hero. He did good things, but also he did bad things. And we can recognize the complexity and criticize the bad things. Like we should be able to about our history, not get fragile and get upset when we actually look at the colonial empire. They get very upset about that, very tetchy. We can talk about it like big boys, big boys.
Or anyone else. The stripping away of the heroes, stripping away of the national story in country after country across the West leaves this vacuum.
It's so fragile. Like stripping away. Oh, he's so weak. It's the weakest of men who fall into this because, like stripping away, it's like, no, we are questioning it. That's it. If it falls apart from a little bit of poking, maybe it shouldn't survive at all. Maybe it is just a bit like a house of cards that was going to fall anyway.
The leading the pack,
Canada, perhaps the world leader.
Australia, New Zealand, they're
doing very, very well.
They are.
But into this vacuum, something was always going to step. And there is no reason why American or other Western universities or streets, because it's not just at higher education institutions, it's, Union Station in New York shut down again the other week by hundreds of people chanting for Intifada. Yeah. Intifada terrorism in the center of New York.
Did this even happen? Probably not. He likes to lie. He likes to fabricate. And also, part of this discussion was just about like anti-protest. Like they're basically the anti-freedom of speech position. Like how dare students protest a genocide? That's what they did in 1960s during the Vietnam War. It's just pro-establishment. That's it. They don't care. Like that's why the whole conversation about Hamas, nothing about the genocide in Gaza, nothing about killing aid workers, journalists, children, nothing. Because when you actually talk about that, that's what we should be talking about here. Yes, we should talk about Hamas, but we all need to talk about why Hamas exists. But they can't. They are ideologically unable to do it. They cannot actually have a real conversation, an academic conversation where you look and analyze, evaluate, synthesize evidence. It's pure emotion. It's like, these guys are just the bad guys and we're the good guys. And what is that? Well, it's very fascistic because it's like, oh, if you just got rid of these, even though, and it's all projection. Everything Douglas Murray says is projection here.
What it is there's no reason why this death cult ideology should find itself worse.
Again, here we go. There's the projection. Massive. Like 97% of the deaths in between Gaza and Israel were caused by Israel. He doesn't talk about that. He doesn't talk because in his head, it's justified. October the 7th justifies genocide, which is insane. It's an insane thing to believe, and people believe it.
Shit. In the Free West.
Free West.
Apart from the fact that we have allowed ourselves...
Free West, where you can't protest against a genocide, where you can't question the status quo, you can't question your own history, you have to, basically have a blind allegiance to nations and Churchill, and how dare you question Churchill's integrity? No, that's what democracy is. We can question our history. Don't be so fragile, don't be so weak.
To be deracinated and demoralized, and allowed the weakest and most pernicious imaginable ideology to step into the vacuum.
Yes,
The Zionism. Zionism.
Weak and appalling ideologies, most particularly the idea that
Are you okay, Jordan? He's not okay. He's not okay.
the world can be explained in consequence of the oppressor victim narrative.
Yes, oppressor oppressed, colonizer colonized.
Yeah. Proletariat bourgeoisie. It's the same bloody story.
There's another.
Oh my God. Yes, because there is power dynamics. These things are real. When someone colonizes someone, that is a real thing. We did that in the West. The British Empire existed for hundreds of years. We colonized a quarter of the planet. We killed many people. Israel is continuing that colonial legacy. So is Russia trying to do that by invading Ukraine. This is real. And also the bourgeoisie, the capitalist class, have exploited the workers, the proletariat. These are real things. Just because you don't like it being called out and hierarchies being questioned, you just think, oh, these are natural things. Like, why can't people just accept it? Why can't just people shut up, know their place, know that I'm at the top of the hierarchy because I've earned it? I'm one of the best. Know your place, shut up. That's what they're saying. When you can't question these power dynamics that are not inevitable, that are created by humans, he's just saying, shut up. Shut up, peasant.
Another strand to that, by the way, which I gave a lecture on this in New York last year for the New Criterion, which is even if...
It's so insane that, because obviously he's not taken seriously in any actual academic circles, because he's one of the few right-wing academics, which is a contradiction in terms, because he's just a propagandist. He's not a serious academic. He writes books, but if you actually read them, they're awful. So many people have just called them out, just lies, misinformation, anecdotes that just don't really serve as evidence. He's not a serious person.
He does use the term evil in the West these days, and people are very uncomfortable about using it because of its theological framework.
No, because it flattens analysis. I don't like the term, really, because it just goes, oh, they're evil. It's like, okay, does it question the historical context, economics, cultural, sophisticated dynamics? Just to say, oh, Hamas are evil. No, there's a very real reason why they exist. And there's a reason why Israel is doing what it's doing. They're being evil. There's both evil there. But just to say, oh, they're just evil, it's okay, you kind of ignore a lot of historical context. But for him, that's very convenient, because then you say, okay, well, is genocide evil? Plenty of experts, scholars, lawyers have deemed what Israel is doing a genocide. They won't talk about that, because he'll just dismiss it and be like, oh. And what do you do then? Well, you got to push him on it. But obviously, Jordan Peterson is incapable of doing that, for reasons.
If you do hear the word evil used in the West, in the Western press, I give examples of this, what will people describe it as? Almost inevitably, they will resort to Hannah Arendt's lamentable definition of the banality of evil. And if anyone's interested, they can go and read the essay online that I wrote about.
Oh, God, no.
Against Hannah Arendt's appalling, misguided, and provably wrong theory on the banality of evil, which she applied to Eichmann, the leading Nazi and architect of the Holocaust.
The facade is banal.
There was nothing about Eichmann that was banal.
I disagree. Again, just shows you how bad an academic he is. No, fascism is banal. There is that banality. It's so emotional. That's what she means. He doesn't understand what she's saying. She's kind of saying that, we glorify as this exceptional evil. It's so unique. It's so out there, like unbelievable. Like you can't comprehend it. Like that's why people don't understand fascism today. They think, oh no, that was specific to Germany in 19. No, it's a very human tendency that we see across the world today. And this kind of emotional othering, like saying that, oh, I'm the good guy, but they're the evil guy. That's what Douglas Murray do. That's what, Jordan Peterson does. It's a very banal analysis, and it's a very banal ideology that just has a knee-jerk reaction to economic problems. It goes, okay, capitalism is failing. We need a scapegoat. In 1930s Germany, Hitler came up with Jews. It was their fault that they lost the First World War. That's it. You just transfer all your economic problems onto another. They need to be eradicated, and that's it. And in a way, it's incredibly banal because it's so false that it's just silly. It's a banal thing. It's like that's what she meant. She wasn't. See, he doesn't understand that because he's kind of evil. Sorry, but he kind of is. He is the part of the problem. He essentializes it. Again, essentialism, like they're just that way. Take out all the context, take out all the history, take out the economic dynamics, the history of anti-Semitism, take all that out. It's just, again, boring, banal.
Hannah Arendt, but she through her half-baked theory. That's the last...
Yeah, we're to Hannah. Yeah, because you are one of the most respected 20th century scholars. Like, yes, half-baked theory. Who Douglas Murray. Oh my God, unbelievable. It's just, he thinks he's this intellectual titan and he is nobody.
Bit of the use of evil I noticed in the public realm. Something will happen, like, for instance, when drummer Lee Rigby was beheaded in broad daylight on the streets of London in 2013. The next day, a columnist at the Telegraph, a conservative newspaper in the UK, described the act as banal. The Guardian
That means it didn't happen to
said
him.
it was a sort of yes, exactly. It's hard to see decapitation as banal unless you just have no other.
I'd like to know the context of what they said banal there, because again, he's very disingenuous. He will say just stuff out of context. Like, what was the context of the banality of evil? Like, again, he doesn't care. Like, why are we even saying that anyway?
Word to use in the environment of evil. But one of the things I want readers to come away from On Democracies and Death Cults thinking about.
No, they won't be thinking at all. I'm pretty sure this book is just a scree against Islamic terrorism. No analysis, just anecdote, description. That's it. No analysis. He is incapable of analysis. A 90-minute interview of no analysis. Just, they're evil. Because he can't ask the real questions.
Is exactly this. Maybe there is such a force in the world. Maybe evil really does descend. Maybe it actually exists.
So when did you decide?
Yeah, and I think it does. In Israel, they've killed nearly, well, they say 50,000. It's going to be at least 100,000, if not more. Half of them, well, half the population kids. 2 million people living in Gaza, half are kids. I mean, he can't talk about, again, he can't talk about, that's evil. That's evil. What the IDF have been doing. Pure evil. Merciless, just like some of the worst crimes of humanity. And they need to be held accountable because Jordan Peterson, history will not vindicate these people. We'll look back in this 10, 20 years' time and interviews like this with Jordan Peterson and Douglas Murray, the apologists for genocide. These will be the people that we go, why were people listening to this? Why was this allowed? Because it's frankly disgusting. These people have blood in their hands. Douglas Murray has blood in his hands. So does Jordan Peterson. Because they don't care about this. Like, they can pontificate on evil and say, oh, it's just evil exists. And okay, how do we solve this problem? Is there a one-state solution? Is there a two-state solution? Unlikely. How do we go forward? Should Netanyahu be held accountable for his crimes? Yes, he should. Will he be? Unlikely. So, yes. The banality of evil and the banality of right-wing analysis. Here it is. There you go. Hit the like button. Join my membership, and I'll see you in the next video.